All right, guys, let's get going. So let me just start since I was thinking since I asked you guys to put some gratitudes in the chat box. And for any of you that are newer to the organization, meaning that we're not here pre-COVID, how we would typically start Morning Ascend is a lot of times we would have people share, hey, what are some of your gratitudes? So that's part of why I wanted to ask that. But I had the thought of I should probably share my gratitude with you guys, or one of them that I had written down at least. And so with it being Mother's Day this weekend, I am grateful for two of the mothers in my life. And one, obviously my mom, and she has been such a great example for me. In fact, actually, I'm going to be speaking at Summit this next week. And one of the things that I decided I'm going to talk about is something that my mom taught me. So look, that's your sneak peek into what you're going to hear from me at Summit on Tuesday. But also so grateful for my wife and the amazing mother that she is. If I would have had any idea how amazing she was going to be, I would have asked her to marry me. Oh, wait, I did. But anyway, she's awesome. So I'm grateful for that. So just to share some of the ones that I said I would say your name. So Jeanette Davis put in there, she's grateful for amazing leadership at Everest and this beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. I love that. John Aubrey, grateful to have the opportunity to learn from Russ Orchard, and you should be, John. That's good. Yeah, I love that. Trevor Hurd. Trevor says, I'm grateful for books and my ability to read and understand them. They are an incompletable pipeline of knowledge, and I'm so thankful for what they have done for me. That's awesome. And Robert Campos, I love this one, Robert. I intend to be successful and create so much value for the people I talk to that instead of chasing them, I will attract, chasing them, I will attract them. That's awesome. And he's grateful to be a part of the team and learn so much. April, grateful for the day full of possibilities and starting the day off with a positive message. Well, I hope I have one for you then, April. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. And Ruby, grateful for her mom, her family, and her Everest family, and another beautiful day full of opportunities. And Ginger said that was a dad joke, Russ. I know I'm horrible at dad jokes. All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so here's what I wanted to talk about today with you guys is I have a saying that I have tried to teach to my children. And here's what it is if you take the hard road now, life will be easy. If you take the easy road now, then life's going to be really hard for you. And that's something that I've tried to instill in my children. And so I want to share with you today actually a story about my middle son. My middle son, his name is Stockton. And ironically, his name is Stockton Russell. And so people always think that he's totally named after the Utah Jazz because of John Stockton and Brian Russell. But that's not why. The Russell comes from me. And the Stockton actually, to some extent, did come a little bit, I guess, from the Jazz, but not because of necessarily John Stockton. I had said to my wife, I wanted to name him Jordan because I loved Michael Jordan. And my mother-in-law said, well, I like the name Stockton, actually. And I was like, that's it. And my wife, same thing. So I want to tell you a story about him. And to give you some perspective on Stockton, though, my middle son, is he as a kid was just a terror. And so I'll just tell you kind of to set up this story, a little bit of the background with him. So when he was about 3 years old, we had moved into a new home and had been there just only a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And I had my sister and her husband over to the house, and we were sitting in the family room visiting. And I don't remember how we noticed, but somebody noticed that he had taken a marker and he had just put it right at his height. And I don't know how well you can see me here for a second. So at his height, holding the marker about like this, he took this marker and he walked and wrote on every wall of the house except for the room that we were in. And when we noticed that and then walked throughout the house, you could see he just put the marker on the wall and just walked and up the stairs, down the stairs. You could just see everywhere. And interestingly, I was pretty mad, obviously. And I went upstairs and I spanked his butt, which I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not, but I did. And he just stared at me. So I spanked him again and he just stared at me. So I spanked him a third time and he just kept staring at me like, what's your problem, Dad? And so I knew that was never going to work for him. So that's the first thing with him. Second one with him. So I remember I said he was a terror. So not long after that, some people had bought a home 2 doors down from us. And we didn't really know them that well, but they came over and knocked on the door and said, hey, like, we're not trying to get your son in trouble, but we want you to understand that we were just in our house up on the 2nd story, and all of a sudden we saw something go past a window on the 2nd story. So we went and looked out the window, and your son was up on our roof. And he was literally like 4 or 5 years old at the time. And so I asked him, how did you even get on the roof? And he's like, oh, that was easy. I climbed up on the fence. And then from there, I climbed from the fence onto their trailer. And then from the trailer, it was easy to just climb up onto the roof. And I was like, okay. So that's kind of who this kid was. Now, some of you know his older brother because he's an agent here at the office. And my oldest son, and I won't say any names in case you don't know him, but he was not such a clean kid. Well, my middle son, then, I don't know what flipped in him, but my father-in-law used to always say, he's going to make you proud someday. And so he had decided he wanted to be the opposite of my oldest. My oldest would not put a lot of effort into school and those type of things. His room was always a mess. Well, so Stockton decided he was going to be the opposite. And so what he did is kind of like when George Costanza in Seinfeld decided it was opposite. And if he was just going to do the opposite of everything he thought he should do, and all of a sudden everything was working great for him. Well, that's kind of what Stockton decided to do, was that he was going to do the opposite of what Douglas had done. So his room was always spotless, even to the point of before he left the home, his drawer, he had a bunch of Stance socks, like 50 of them, and he had them organized to where all 50 socks were in the drawer. You could see every one of them and know like how they were folded was so perfect, everything. So that's kind of who he was. Well, so here's what the story I want to tell you about. If you take the easy road now, life's going to be hard, but if you take the hard road now, life will be easy. Well, in high school, so in his senior year, Stockton's senior year of high school, he had set a goal throughout high school that for those in California, you probably don't know what this is, and even a lot of in Utah may not, but there's a scholarship in Utah that's called the Regent Scholarship. And essentially what it is if you can go through 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade and never get a grade lower than a B, you qualify for this scholarship, which if I remember right, it's $3,000 towards a scholarship. And all you have to do is not get lower than a B to qualify. So he had set a goal that he wanted to get the Regent Scholarship initially. Well, as he started to go through high school, he was getting all A's. In fact, he went through his entire high school career, I guess, or I don't know what you call it, his high school years, and he had 1 A-. That was the lowest grade that he had ever gotten. Well, in his senior year, he was taking an AP stats class. And as part of this AP stats class, it was really hard. If you have not done stats, that can be difficult in and of itself. But as a senior, doing an AP stats class was really difficult. Well, he, as most seniors, started to get senioritis. He started to feel like, I'm pretty much done. I'm right there. And one of the other kids in the class, in this AP stats class, found a way that online, he had found that the teacher would use one of 2 tests, and they could go online and just Google and find these tests. Well, what they would do then is just when the teacher would pass out the test, they could look down and it would have either, and I don't remember if it was a Roman numeral or a letter or what, but they just knew it was either test A or test B. So then they could just pull it up on their phone and all the answers were right there. Well, the teacher started to notice all of these crazy things going on in the class. And what I mean by that was he started noticing kids in the class acing a test. And he's like, these kids are not the type to typically ace a test. And so what the teacher did is the teacher decided he was going to trap the kids. And what he did was the teacher got the test and put, let's just say it was a test A or test B, but he took test B and photocopied it, put A at the top, so that when the kids then see A and they pull it up on their phone and they write it down, if they were cheating, so what his assumption was is if they were cheating, he would be able to figure out they were cheating because they would all of a sudden get the answers wrong or not have the answers or whatever. And the kids, being, you know, seniors in high school, weren't smart enough to like actually read the question and then write the answer to see, is this matching up? They just were writing down the answers. So they wouldn't even take the time. They would just write them down. Well, so the teacher did that. And then when he graded the test, he very quickly found out who was cheating, and then noticed that my son was one of the ones that was doing that. And so we got a phone call from the principal, and the principal said, hey, your son's been caught cheating and he's going to fail this class, and, you know, all of this stuff. And my wife and I said, well, we want to meet with both the principal and the teacher. And so we went over to the high school. We sat down with the principal. We sat down with the teacher. And in that conversation, the teacher said, the teacher had known. So at this point, Stockton had gotten scholarship offers for the Utah Valley University, Weber State University, Dixie State University, and I think Utah State University, and all of them being full rides. Now, the little funny thing is he decided he wanted to take the scholarship from Weber State, because not only were they giving him a full ride scholarship, but they were going to give him what was called a W parking pass. So they included a parking pass. So he chose because of that, which is probably a good lesson for us as well, that sometimes people choose things because of the sizzle, meaning you go to Chili's and you hear the waitress walking out, or the server, I guess is the politically correct term, the server walking out carrying this plate of fajitas, and you hear it sizzling and you're like, ooh, that sounds good. I would think I might want that. So he chose it because of the W parking pass. Well, the teacher pointed out to him, because if the principal decided to call Weber State and tell them he had been caught cheating, he said, you'll lose your entire scholarship to Weber State. And my son's heart just sank when that happened. Well, my son had just made the decision of, well, here's what I'm going to do. In order to still get that Regent scholarship, I'm just going to transfer out of the class, which all of the other kids that were caught cheating, that's what they did, is they transferred out of the class. And because the teacher was going to go back on every one of those tests and fail them, and, you know, change it from being 100% correct to all zeros. And so my son just said, well, I'm just going to transfer out. I'll just get into an easy math class. I'll keep my A and I'll be good. Well, the parents being who we are, and again, back to, if you take the easy road now, life's going to be hard. If you take the hard road now, life will be easy. So we said, yeah, no, you're not transferring out of the class. And so we said to the teacher, is it even possible for him to pass the class? And the teacher said, the only possibility that he has of passing this class is he has to do 10 hours of community service. And then he also has to come to 1 hour, and I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 times a week, but 2 or 3 times a week after school, he has to stay after for an hour to work with the teacher on the concepts to make sure he understood the ones that he had basically cheated on the test for, because he wasn't studying because he knew he had all the answers. And of course, my son did not want to do that, but we said, well, it's either that or you just fail the class and you'll lose your scholarships if the principal decides to call. Well, my son decided, okay, I'll do it. And he went to after school every hour of those 2 or 3 times a week. We had asked the teacher if he would let them, this is kind of the funny thing. We asked the teacher, will you let him go back and retake those tests? And the teacher said, no, I can't do that because he already has memorized all the answers. And if I give him the test, he'll be able to get it 100% correct because he memorized the answers. And my son was like, there's no way we memorized all those answers. And my son said, we actually didn't. We just all pulled our phones out, had it between our legs, had it pulled up, and would just look down like we were writing and we were looking at the answer. We didn't memorize anything. So the teacher said, yeah, I'll go ahead and let you do that. But you'll probably only pass the class. You will probably not be able to get higher than a B, or excuse me, a C, which would mean he loses that Regent scholarship. So my son said, okay, and reluctantly, actually, because we told him he had to. But here's the interesting thing, is he went through and he put in all that effort. He went and retook the test. And at the very end, the teacher still awarded him with an A. He was able to come out of that class by still getting an A. Well, that's been now, what, 3 or 4 years ago that's taken place. And he will tell you today that experience changed him in terms of, I don't want to take the easy road. See, when we take the easy road, which in the moment seems like it's the right thing, or it's at least the easy thing to do. For me, I have to remind myself this stuff every single morning, because when I wake up, I don't want to go and exercise. And I have to just say to myself, take the hard road now, life will be easy. See, if we take the easy road now and don't exercise, life becomes hard because we have the physical problems. Same thing in terms of your real estate career. Take the hard road now, meaning decide, I'm going to put in the effort to prospect now so that down the road, life will be easy for me. See, if this business is not getting easier for you, the longer you do it, you're not doing it right. You're not doing something right if you are not having the business get easier over time. You're taking the easy road now. So I just want to challenge you. What do you need to change? What hard road do you need to take in your life that will make then it easier for you down the road versus taking the easy road now and making it difficult for you down the road? So, hey, thanks for being with me. I appreciate your time. Tim says on here, thank you and go Yankees. Yeah, hey, just go baseball for me. I don't really care who it is. Which, by the way, since I talked to you guys about a perfect game before, there was almost another perfect game yesterday. For you that are baseball fans that missed it, unfortunately, the guy struck a player out, but he threw a wild pitch when he did it. So it went to the backstop, and when that happens, you could, if on strike three, if the catcher drops the ball, the batter can run to first base, and if he gets there before the ball, he's safe. That's what happened, and it took away his perfect game because of that. So it's kind of a sad thing. Still got a no-hitters for those that care. But anyway, hey, thanks for being with me. Let's go ahead and close it up now with some closing affirmations. Make it an awesome